Let's talk about Shelley's journey on Love Island and why I think that she is upset with herself more than she is with anybody else. I promise I have a reason for saying that. This is not going to be like a hate video or anything like that. I just think that her Love Island arc is a really good testament to why you should know exactly what you want and why it's important to have boundaries and to stay true to yourself, because you cannot control other people's behavior. You can only control your behavior and your boundaries. And I think Shelley is an example of what happens when you don't really focus on that, because unfortunately a lot of people will take advantage of that and do you dirty, which is also not your fault. Nobody is more equipped to protect you than you from intentional or unintentional harm. The best preventative is knowing what you want. Now, unfortunately, I can't really speak directly to what Shelley may or may not want because she never really made that clear on the show. I was very surprised when she spent so long trying to choose between Ace and Austin, as they are clearly two very different people. Not that one person can't enjoy like different people and like different personality types and everything like that. When you go on a show like Love Island, or when you go into something like the dating scene, I think it's important to know what you want, what outcome is going to serve you, just to go into it with intention. Never let men dictate the terms of your relationship. They will do you dirty. They're not concerned with your well-being, so you have to be concerned with your well-being. And thinking that that's being open when really it's just like doing yourself a huge disservice. It turned into, from her like choosing between Ace and Austin, to basically waiting for Ace to choose her. Even when she did like make up her mind about him, by then he was already able to lay that groundwork of like, you don't make the decisions around here, I do. I think a lot of people are forgetting when they're sort of like hyping up Ace and Shelley, their relationship. I think a lot of people are forgetting how genuinely diabolical this man was at the beginning of the season, especially towards Amaya. He played right in Shelley's face that night. Like, she really sat there thinking he was going to choose her, and he chose Amaya only to nag and discard her that very same exact night. Like, that is weird behavior. And once again, Shelley didn't clock it because she doesn't have those standards. She doesn't have those boundaries, you know? She's kind of like going with the flow. At the same time, I do think that deep down she does know what she wants. She just isn't like giving herself permission to really put herself out there in a way that is honest and true to herself. I can acknowledge that that can be scary as a woman. I can acknowledge that women are very much discouraged from doing that. And I can also acknowledge that, you know, as a Black woman, she was probably aware of the fact that she was going to be hyper judged and hyper perceived. And so that might have guided her actions. So this isn't about Shelley as much as it is about what can we learn from her arc, from her narrative. There's obviously differences in all of this, and obviously it's not like a direct parallel, but just something to think about. One of those lessons is that like letting men lead and not having standards and deal breakers of your own. Watching the way that Ace acted around Amaya, like that should have been a deal breaker. Like that should have been like a hell no, I'm not gonna date you because I don't care how you treat me. Men really don't treat women differently. Like if a man treats other women like shit at any point, that means he's willing to do that to you. That means there's a certain threshold that all you have to do is cross it, and he's gonna think that it's okay to be diabolical towards you as well. He's just waiting for the excuse. He's just waiting for the opportunity. But again, if you don't have your own like very well defined standards, you're gonna think that that's like some kind of a compliment maybe, or you're gonna brush it off and be like, well, you know, he just didn't like her, so he wanted to set these boundaries, like whatever. But you're overlooking the fact that he used her to triangulate you. He was using her to play hard to get and to get you to chase him. Like that is weird behavior. Also interesting to me that Shelley's spent the whole time overlooking their age difference, which to me at their age is quite major. Not only are men already developmentally behind women and socialized to be behind women as far as like emotional intelligence and all that, which is very clearly just like a surface thing for Ace. Like he's not like deeply emotionally intelligent, he's just like surface emotionally intelligent. aka like just manipulative. Also the fact of like the frontal lobe formation, like this man is 6 years behind you as far as like the frontal lobe formation goes. So there's going to be a lot of points along the way where you're going to have to help his development along, or like be patient with him while he develops. And I just think that if you're going by dating standards, if you are looking to be serious with someone, that's not something that you should overlook. Like, that's not like a small thing, you know, may or may not make a difference. That's going to be a huge factor of your relationship. And this is not in defense of Huda or anything, but I really think she was more upset with Ace than she was with Huda about that challenge, because Ace was a little bit too into it. And on the other hand, I also think she was more upset with herself than she was with Huda about the whole Chris thing. And there's a lot to say about Huda's behavior in that situation that's I'm not going to say in this video, that I'll say in a different video. And when we saw that full conversation with Huda about bringing Chris back to the villa, I really think that the reason that Shelley was like so worked up and so emotional about it and like crying is because she just will not allow herself to be honest with people. And that could, once again, that could be a product of just like her as a Black woman being shut down over and over again, like her as a Black woman not being allowed to have preferences, or you know, all of these kinds of things. Like, I think those are all valid things to say, and this is not a demonization or a villainization of Shelley. And I also think that like it was very interesting watching the Hannah situation back, because once again I think that was projection on Shelley's part, because everyone's first instinct was to save Hannah and Pepe because they were clearly hitting it off. Clearly there was some compatibility. And then here comes Shelley with a projection, and the projection was, well, I feel like, you know, certain people have not been exploring enough, and like I think we should give more credit to those people who have been exploring. And to me, that was so clearly a projection, because Shelley very much not exploring the whole time that she was in the villa. Like, it was literally just her choosing between the two guys that she had been choosing between since night one. Also not really giving like I was exploring vibes, and I just wish more people were exploring, especially this late in the show. It was almost like this projection of, I want to live vicariously through other people because I didn't get to do this thing. She probably felt like her exploring with Chris got cut as short by Huda, and I just think she having all kinds of FOMO and almost kind of like, again, vicariously expressing, oh, you know, maybe people should be exploring more. Almost like she wished that the girls would encourage her to explore more, but instead they just kind of took what she said and ran with it, as in, we don't want people in the villa that are not open to exploration. And they voted Hannah off of Love Island week 4 or whatever for actually having a good connection on, once again, a show called Love Island. I just think that the reason why she's having so much trouble like putting into words what kind of tainted her Love Island experience and like how other people were involved in that, I think that she has trouble putting that into words, because again, she's really upset with herself. Like, she's disappointed that she wasn't more forward with her standards. This is the practical outcomes that that kind of thinking is going to lead to. Whether she was doing this intentionally or not, which I think like a lot of the behaviors on this show are unintentional. Like, a lot of people come on the show thinking they're going to act, you know, one type of way or a certain type of way. And I think a lot of times people are not expecting to be triggered as much as they get triggered on the show. Like, everyone just has a different experience than what they expect to have. And I think like Shelley very much had that experience, but I think it all comes back to her being afraid to really stand on what she wants and to hold her boundaries and like cut people out of her life before they do her dirty. I definitely think there's a lesson to be learned there. Stay safe out there. Godspeed.